A tithe of blood, an oath of loyalty. Lady Shadow's plans are slowly coming together. Armed with the strength of two ancient dragon demons, there's little standing in the way of her vision. A decimated Gyahatian empire. Yet Kanashimi grows distant, Saigai refuses to be tamed, and the whereabouts of their four siblings remain unknown. To make matters worse, the Priestess of Shadow can't shake the nagging feeling that she's missed an opportunity to eliminate her most annoying obstacle: two young spies who know far too much. All the while, Daisuke and Obito survived an explosion, shadowy magic, and a trip to one of Perena's worst cities. However, once they're at home in the capital, things hardly feel safer. Scandals, threats, and betrayals erupt on every side as they draw closer to the truth about the Shadow Priestess. And what of the black aura surrounding the charm Daisuke has kept hidden for the last 3 years? Oh, hello everyone, and welcome once again to the Heir's Lair. I'm your host, Jonathan Taylor. In this week's video, I'll be returning to the Poison and Opium series, which I've recently learned is actually intended to be a pentalogy rather than a trilogy. With a look at the second of its installments, namely Talismans of Sin. That is not a particularly aesthetic cover, but it does do its job, if I may say so myself. Now, I'm not exactly sure where exactly the author, Alyssa Lawson, mentioned the, or I'm not sure whether she actually mentioned the intended length of this series so far, aside from in the coda of this book. I think I simply assumed it to be a trilogy due to the fact that her previous series also happened to be a trilogy. And, well, I guess you know what they say about assumptions. Anyway, now that I've wiped the egg off my face, what can I say about this book? Well, my impressions in summary are, it does not really have the same impact as the first book, but the difference isn't in magnitude, it's in it's in nature. There is a quite sizable shift in terms of what this book focuses upon when compared to the first one. But I do have to say that this shift still is very effective at meaningfully illustrating the differences and the twists and turns that the various characters are confronted with over the course of their respective narrative arcs, and in turn, those narrative arcs become quite interesting to follow in their own right. So if you've found yourself enjoying and being pulled in by the first book, it is quite likely the second one will also do the trick for you. And now that I've covered my broad impressions, I'll give you a quick list of the content warnings: classism, racism, abuse, self-harm, blood, and miscellaneous violence. So yeah, be mindful of that. And now get into some broad specifics. The plot of this book picks up soon, if not immediately, after the ending of the first book, with co-protagonists Daisuke and Obito reeling from and dealing with the consequences of their first confrontation with the main antagonist of the series, or at least the main antagonist of the series so far. After which they receive a new assignment they have to take care of. All the while, the antagonists of the piece get to move ahead with their own desires and initiatives. This book is the plotting of this book isn't really as deep or as intricate or as complex as the first one, or at least it doesn't give the same impression of depth and complexity. And also, it takes place over a somewhat shorter period of time. But nevertheless, it still manages to utilize its its page time and the events which it does describe to better highlight who the various parties involved within this story are, what their intentions are, what the stakes of these of these respective intentions end up being. So how exactly they set their goals, how ambitious they become in in that regard, and what actions they can take towards that goal. It is in that sense very interesting to piece together for yourself and to really assimilate. There are unfortunately portions where the book runs out of events to present before it runs out of pages. So there are parts where the pacing kind of struggles a little bit, which does affect the reading quality to some degree, at least. The when it comes to characterization, I will have to say, no, I'm not going to characterization yet. I'm going to go to world building instead, which I may have hinted at, which, as hinted, does actually see some level of improvement. Like I said, there is we have some a better understanding of the various power structures within this world, how exactly they connect to each other, and how they connect to the world more broadly, and also there is a new level of awareness when it comes to the supernatural aspects of the world and how exactly those are supposed to operate. And also, as I've already alluded to, we get with the stakes becoming clearer, it also becomes a little bit more obvious what factors specifically various characters have to take into account as they go through their respective actions, which I have to say is interesting to read about. Beyond the aspects that are necessary and interesting on a plot perspective, the various locations that the book presents are described quite effectively. With each location being given its own set of characteristics and attributes that allow them to become, that allow each setting to become memorable in its own right, for its own reason, to the respective audience. So I very much have to applaud that, and I also have to applaud the book for how it manages to sprinkle the seeds of social commentary in terms of how exactly the in terms of how exactly various characters react to various events, what motivates each reaction, or any respective lack of reaction, because that can also happen. And now on to characterization, which I kind of jumped the gun on 2.5 minutes ago. And that's because, in honesty, characterization is very much this book's strong suit. Because by illustrating a lot of the things that I've already talked about, as in the characters involved and what their intentions are, it also goes a little bit into what exactly their motivations are, what their backgrounds are, and why exactly it is that they seek out those particular goals, or what is it about them that leads to them having those specific intentions. It becomes quite interesting to read through in that regard, as characters get more time in the spotlight, and the readers are allowed a a deeper, more more intriguing look into their respective psyches. Uh, there are two highlights that I really want to comment upon when it comes to this aspect of the book. The first of which is actually the dragon demons that are alluded to in this book synopsis, and the ways in which they respond to, interact with, and react to each other, very much cementing that odd sibling dynamic that they all share, which I have to say did find very interesting to read about, especially when also considering their respective roles within the larger cosmogony of this world. And the second highlight that I would like to mention is a little bit more pedestrian. Namely, it revolves around Daisuke and how he reacts to the various, to a variety of events that happen either to him or around him, and which really allowed this book to, which really present this book with opportunities to talk about its, which really allowed this book opportunities to present its class commentary and positions on mental health awareness, which I have to say it highlights quite effectively within the world, or within the narrative as it is presented. If there is one issue that I would like to, that I should highlight when it comes to the characterization of this book, it is the fact that the deuteragonist of this book, Obito, kind of tends to fall to the sidelines with Daisuke receiving as much time in the spotlight as he is. And given that as a prototypical shonen protagonist, Daisuke is a little bit of an acquired taste, yeah, that while I still consider him a highlight in terms of characterization, I still can't particularly say that I was always as enthralled by his developments and antics throughout the book as I think the author really would have intended me to be. Then again, it seems like the next book will focus a little bit more on Obito, and I have to say I do find myself looking forward to that development. Overall, while there are portions of this book where it where it kind of drags its feet, I do find that it is still quite capable of utilizing the the elements that it has established and the elements that it is capable of weaving into the broader narrative in order to deliver an exciting and intriguing narrative for it to to present to its readership. My final rating for Talismans of Sin is a 4 out of 5. And yeah, that was my review. Thank you for your attention. If you've enjoyed it, well then please like the video, maybe even share it wherever you think other people will also like the video. If there is anything you'd like to add, either to the book itself or to my review of it, that is what the comment section is for. And if you want to see when my next video gets released, well then please subscribe. And ideally also ring the bell or do whatever else YouTube will ask of you in order to keep you notified. My books, the first of my own Heir to the Empire series, The Next Generation and Path Not Taken, are available at various book retailers under their respective master links in the description down below. Right past my social media links, which I also suggest you check out should you choose to. And hopefully I'll have some updates on getting that third book released. In which case I will definitely mention it in my social media, so go ahead and check it out. I also have a second channel where you can hear me talking about whatever else crosses my mind. though it'll typically still be related to narrative analyses, but of works outside the print medium. So if that sounds like it could be of interest to you, well, then I suggest you go ahead and check it out. If, however, you want to hear more about my thoughts on the print medium and selected works therein, well, then I suggest you stay on this channel and go through my extensive backlog, covering not just an embarrassment of riches when it comes to book reviews, but also book rewriting videos, writing advice videos, and a variety of other videos on miscellaneous writing topics. So if any of that catches your attention, be sure to check it out. If, however, none of what I've just described to you sounds like it ignites your curiosity, then I suggest you go ahead and do whatever you want the rest of your day, because it is your day after all. And yeah, that was it from me. So until next time, I am Jonathan Taylor, and this has been the Heir's Lair.